Hi. Now we have looked at the basics when it comes to factorizing using the difference of squares. I'd like to look at some intricate examples you may find in your final examination. Here we have 4x squared minus the bracket 3x minus 2y squared. The bracket shows us that we can look at this content as one term. 4 is a square, x is a square, and the bracket is squared. The terms are separated by a minus sign, so we know we can factorize using the difference of squares. Now, many students ask if we should expand the bracket. Remember that we are factorizing, not expanding, so we don't need to expand the bracket. Let's factorize this expression. Let's put in our equal sign and open two brackets. The square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of x squared is x. So I can put 2x over here, and 2x over here. When you have a bracket squared, the square root is simply the contents of the bracket. So in this case, 3x minus 2y squared has a root of 3x minus 2y. So we can put 3x minus 2y over here. Let's put into a bracket. And again, over here, minus 2y. Now we can put a minus sign in this side and a plus sign in that side. Now we have a bracket within a bracket. And we do this because the minus sign over here is going to change the signs of the terms inside the bracket. So let's expand these smaller brackets. And we have 2x. The minus and a positive leaves us with negative 3x minus negative 2y, which becomes plus 2y. Close the bracket. In the second bracket, we have got 2x plus 3x minus 2y. And now we can add the like terms within the brackets. In our first bracket, 2x minus 3x gives us negative x plus 2y. In the second bracket, 2x plus 3x gives us 5x. And then we have minus 2y. And we have now factorized this expression. Let's look at another example. The bracket of b minus 4 squared minus 9 multiplied by the bracket b minus 5 squared. We have a square bracket and a square bracket. 9 is a square, and the terms are separated by a minus sign. So we can factorize using the difference of squares. So let's put in an equal sign, and I'm going to open a big bracket. The square root of b minus 4 squared is simply b minus 4. I can say b minus 4. And then in my second big bracket, b minus 4. The square root of 9 is 3. Put 3 over here and 3 over here. And then the square root of b minus 5 squared is simply the bracket of b minus 5. So I can say b minus 5 over here and the bracket b minus 5. Let's separate these terms with a minus sign and these with a plus. Now, once again, we have got smaller brackets within our bigger ones, and we need to expand these brackets out. So in the first bracket, we have b minus 4. Then we have negative 3 multiplied by b, which is negative 3b. Negative 3 multiplied by negative 5, which gives us positive 15. Close our first bracket, open our second. Again, we have b minus 4. Then we have 3 multiplied by b, which is positive 3b. and 3 multiplied by negative 5, which is negative 15. We can close our bracket. Now we can add our like terms. In the first bracket, we have b minus 3b, which is negative 2b. Then we have negative 4 plus 15, which gives us positive 11. In our second bracket, we have b plus 3b, which gives us 4b. Then we have negative 4 minus 15, which gives us negative 19. And we have now factorized this expression. Let's do another one. 12x to the power of 8 minus 27b to the power of 6. Now, here we have an exponent of 8 and an exponent of 6. Both of these values are multiples of 2, so they're both squares. We have 12 and 27. These are not square values, so before we can factorize, we need to take out a common factor. 12 and 27 are both divisible by 3. 12 divided by 3 gives us 4, and 27 divided by 3 gives us 9. 4 and 9 are both squares. So to start, let's take out a common factor of 3. So we can say 3, open our bracket. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we have 4x to the power of 8 minus 27 divided by 3 is 9. So we have 9b to the power of 6. Now within our bracket, we've got 4x to the power of 8 and negative 9b to the power of 6. Both of these are square values. So now we can factorize using the difference of squares. Let's put our 3 outside of our bracket, open our first bracket, and open our second. The square root of 4 is 2. Now we have x to the power of 8. To square root, all we do is divide the exponent by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So we get x to the power of 4 over here, and then 2x to the power of 4 over here. The square root of 9 is 3, so we can say 3. 6 divided by 2 is also 3, so we get b to the power of 3. And let's put this in this bracket as well. Now I can put a minus sign in our first bracket and a plus sign in our second. Let's do another example. M to the power of 4 minus 7m squared minus 18. Now, many students say, this is a quadratic. Why would we need to factorize using the difference of squares? This quadratic has high exponents. And when we factorize into two brackets, there's a high chance that at least one bracket can be factorized further using the difference of squares. So let's factorize this quadratic. Let's put in our x. The coefficient of our first term is 1, and our constant is negative 18. 1 multiplied by negative 18 is negative 18. The coefficient of our middle term is negative 7. Now we need to find two factors of negative 18 that when added together give us negative 7. 18 is negative, which means one of its factors will be negative. 7 is negative, which means the higher value will be negative. So let's look at negative 18 divided by 1 gives us negative 18. 1 minus 18 is negative 17. Negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. 2 minus 9 gives us negative 7. This is the value we've been looking for. So we know our factors are 2 and negative 9. The coefficient of our first term is 1. So we say 2 over 1 and negative 9 over 1. Now we can fill in our brackets. Remember, the denominator of these fractions is the coefficient of the first term in the bracket. Here we have m to the power of 4, square root, and we get m squared. We'll have 1m squared, which is simply m squared, in our first bracket, and again in our second. Our first fraction is 2 over 1, so we can say plus 2. and our second is negative 9. So we can say minus 9. M is a square, but 2 isn't. So there's nothing else we can do to this bracket. Our second bracket, however, has m squared and 9. These are both squares, and they're separated by a minus sign, which means that we can factorize this bracket further using the difference of squares. So let's put in our first bracket, m squared plus 2. And now we're going to open two brackets. The square root of m squared is simply m. So m over here and m over here. Now we can square root 9 and we get 3. Put 3 here and 3 here. Let's separate this bracket with a plus sign and in this one with a minus. And we have now factorized our quadratic. I want to look at one more example. 2x cubed minus 18xy squared minus 2x squared plus 6xy. Here we have four terms. And in previous videos, we have seen that when we have an expression with four terms, we normally need to factorize using the grouping of pairs. But before we do that, we always need to look for common factors. In all of our terms, we can see that the values are even, which means we can take out 2 as a common factor. So let's do this now. Take out 2, open my bracket. 2x cubed divided by 2 is x cubed. Negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. So we get negative 9x y squared. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. We have an x squared term, so we can say negative x squared. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So I can say plus 3x y. The terms within the bracket still have an x variable, which means we can still take out x as a common factor as well. So we have the 2 we've already taken out, and now we have an x value. X cubed divided by x is x squared. We have negative 9. Take out our x, and then we have y squared. Negative x squared divided by x is negative x. And 3xy divided by x leaves us with 3y. Now within the bracket, we have got x and y, and x and y. But the 3 and the 9 show us that even if we rearrange these terms, we won't find a common bracket. So we cannot factorize using the grouping of pairs. But we have got an x squared and a 9y squared separated by a minus sign. So we can factorize these two terms using the difference of squares. So let's put in our 2x. Going to open a big bracket. And now we can separate these terms into two brackets. The square root of x squared is x. Put x over here and x over here. The square root of 9 is 3. So I have 3 over here. And the square root of y squared is y. So I have 3y over here and 3y over here. Let's separate these terms with a minus sign and these with a plus. And then we still have negative x plus 3y. And we can close our bracket. Now we have x minus 3y, x plus 3y, and negative x plus 3y. They all have the same terms, but not necessarily the same operations. So to finish this question, we need to put a bracket around these two terms over here. So let's write out the first part of this expression. We have 2x, open our big bracket, x minus 3y, x plus 3y. Now remember that when you have a bracket and you divide the terms inside by a negative value, the operations within the brackets will change. So let's put in a minus sign, open a bracket, negative x divided by a negative value of -1 leaves us with x, and 3y divided by -1 leaves us with -3y. Now we have x plus 3y, x minus 3y, and x minus 3y again. So we can take this bracket out as a common factor. So we're going to say 2x, then our bracket of x minus 3y. In this term over here, we are left with the bracket x plus 3y. Then we have a minus sign. Here we are dividing by x minus 3y. And remember, when you divide anything by itself, you're left with 1. So we can say minus 1. And we have now factorized this expression. You'll see more examples like these in our upcoming videos.